Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Superficial Spirit. Thanks again for joining me, friendly neighborhood celebrity Peter fucking Breeze. And I'm here with He's Looking for Love in All the Dark Places. It's Derek.
Hi, are you my daddy? It's me.
Oh my God.
I'm really
Yeah,
running out of, I don't know what to say anymore.
you know what? People on YouTube and people who listen are going to say, yes, you are my daddy. Please, God, dear Lord in heaven, be my daddy.
I'm looking for a daddy.
You're looking for a daddy. You're not a daddy yourself.
No, I guess I am. I can't play that card anymore. I'm simply too old. They started daddying me when I was 26.
Do you think that's because I'm thinking that's because of muscles? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think it just means that's hot or you're hot when someone just says daddy. But I felt like 26 was a little early, regardless for that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But the gays, we are shameless in our age shaming, and you were old when you were 21, hunty. I don't know. Like, I think my grinder pictures are, I don't know what they are, but sometimes people say daddy to me. And I'm like, it's not what you think. Just because I'm 38, it really is not what you think, please.
No,
But yeah.
I'm not supporting anyone. Not because I can, just because I don't want to. That's not the type of relationship I'm looking for. If you can't support
Yeah,
yourself, then I don't love or respect you.
yeah, the whole daddy thing too is like, is it always about money or is it just about like dominating family, not family, but like the father figure fantasy.
Yeah, but it's all that. But I mean, it's sort of you don't expect the person occupying that daddy position who in every other way is taking care of you to sort of not encompass finance. Like he's taking you to
Yeah, yeah,
dinner,
yeah.
he's driving the car around, he's paying for gas, he's driving you back and forth, whatever, whatever else daddies do. He's buying you gifts, I think that's part of
Yeah.
it.
And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you can be a femme daddy because look at Liberace. Remember Liberace and his like young, hot, muscly lovers? And Liberace was basically RuPaul, like diamonds, jewels, soft. He floated through the air. So I guess that's an interesting idea, like power, money, and status being the object, not necessarily muscles and masculinity.
No, dominance can be found in all body types and persuasions, I think. Even a Liberace can be obviously financially dominant. He had all the power in that relationship. Oh my God, I've been watching more Miranda Sings documentaries talking about power dynamics. Someday we're going to have to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm writing it down. Um, Speaking about Grindr, okay, so I wasn't going to talk about this, but I am going to talk about it because we started talking about Grindr, and that's what happens. So Evan was out of town recently, and I am on Grindr. I go on Grindr mostly when I go to new areas because I like the endorphin hit. I like to go to a brand new city, a brand new neighborhood, open the app and see who taps me. Sometimes it's hundreds of thousands of people, and sometimes it's nobody. But I like it. It's addicting. I have hooked up with people on the app for sure. Not really my thing. But when Evan was away, this really fucking weird thing happened. Um, he was away in Toronto. I was by myself with my dog, and I'm on the app and I'm scrolling, and the infamous headless torso. No, sorry, blank profile messages me. Okay. Blank profiles for people who don't know Grindr is like they're on there. And if you don't know what Grindr is, it's a hookup app. Although, Derek, I think you have a more eloquent way of saying what Grindr is, but it's a place where gay guys looking for love, quote unquote love, I guess, even though that's I don't what do you think?
It's a place for adults, not even men at this point, not even necessarily just males, but for adult individuals who sleep with men and are, I guess, kind of not cis females. I'd say that's the only group that's not really looked fondly on Grindr to make connections for whatever consenting activities they might desire.
Yes. Okay, great, great. So this blank profile messages me, um, starts talking all dirty, and I'm like, I just don't get that approach. Why aren't you showing your face? And the profile says, discreet, down low, whatever. And I do sometimes, and this is kind of like a separate thing, but like the whole fetishization of straight men. I've talked about this on the show, and the blank profiles when they reach out to me, that's the first thing that comes into my mind. What if it's a hot straight guy? Oh my God, what if it's a hot straight guy, honey? And I get a little excited. So depending on my mood and depending on what's going on, I'll either talk or not. This particular time, I was talking to him. He sends me body pics, super hot. Really nice body. I sent him some pictures, nothing dirty, don't get nasty. But I was like, you have a really nice body. Why don't you show me your face? And he's like, oh no, I'm discreet. And I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, he was being extremely explicit about what he was wanting from me, or I guess whoever he was hooking up on Grindr. And for friends and family, if you don't want to hear some explicit sex talk, you need to pause the show now. Giving you a moment. Press the pause button, mom. Um, he had a thing for cum. Okay. And he was just like, I want cum on my face. I want cum on my body. I want cum all over me. And I was like, okay, have sure, why not? Kind of rolling with it, not really my thing. We had like a small exchange. I basically went to sleep and didn't obviously hook up with him. The next day I woke up and I had messages from him, and it was sort of like a continuation, but one of the messages was, do you have videos of you fucking? In reference to Evan and I. And I said, no, I'm classy. And I spelled classy, CLA $ Y. And he said, there's nothing classy about being a faggot, bro. And then he blocked me. The cum slut called me a faggot and then blocked me. And I was like, first of all, I haven't been called a fag in so long by like somebody on the street or somebody on a bar. The fact that I'm getting called a fag on Grindr by somebody who was begging me to come over and have sex with them is fucked up. And I do remember, actually, I think I texted you. This was probably the same weekend where I was like, texted you. I was like, what is with people not having a conversation and just thinking that they can come over and have sex? Fuck me, get head, whatever. Like zero communication and just like going to it. I feel like when I'm on Grindr, I don't feel bad about myself, but I do question, like, if I was single, would I be able to deal with this? Because it seems pretty standard that the expectation, or at least the bar, is low for a lot of people in terms of, as long as you're willing, as long as you're attractive, and as long as you are like in somewhat in the same mode of what you're looking for sexually, they'll come over and do it. And I messaged you and I was like, is this like, am I a prude? Am I too vanilla to like do this? And you had some nice advice.
Yeah, I don't think you're a prude. And I'm not against like same day hookup. Like you start talking to someone and then they come over that same day. Not against that at all. I haven't used Grindr in a long time. I'm like seeing somebody now, and I just don't have an interest in it. And for the last like several months before that, I was like using it with a faceless profile anyway, because I don't want any incoming messages. And I certainly wasn't hooking up with anybody. But so like, but when I was like, I'm not the freshest at Grindr politics right now to speak of it, but I feel like that when somebody is like, I'll hook up with you on the same day if we're like vibing or whatever, but that's after talking a little bit, like that's
Yeah.
after, I don't know, a certain number of messages back and forth where I've gotten a vibe for you. But if you're throwing out, I want you to come on me, I want to eat your cum, I want your cum in my eyes, I want to pull the cum out of my belly button and lick it off my fingers, I want to slip and slide in your cum, I want you to fill a kiddie pool with your cum, cum. Like, if you're hitting me with that so fast, I feel like that's kind of, I don't feel safe,
Yeah.
because I don't, if somebody, if that, it's almost like someone's trying to hook me to come over without revealing anything about themselves on purpose to obscure identifying information about themselves so they can like get away with something. Like, I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. I don't trust it. And I don't think people like that. I don't think people like speak like that normally. So it puts me off. But I think in the case of like your situation specifically, where they also didn't even have a face, but they were wanting to talk to you about this extremely specific fetish and to get like videos and stuff from you, but not giving really you anything back, certainly nothing identifying, and claiming to be discreet. Like, I have even heightened more suspicion of that than someone if they did have a face and were doing all those things, very much. Because one, I feel like people use Grindr that way because they just want to talk to someone about their fetish. They just want to dirty talk to someone and maybe get a few pictures and videos out of the deal, but with no intention of ever meeting you. And I also think the I'm discreet thing, with no face, is usually catfishing. Because
Yeah.
if you're at the point where you're exchanging these private messages, it's one thing to not have a public face on the app in the grid, like no profile picture, but then to be engaging in a conversation with somebody but still claim to be discreet and not want to reveal your face. Like, I don't know what, like, I don't buy that, because I feel like it's not rational. Like, who's on Grindr thinking I'm going to get the faces of as many discreet guys that I can, and then somehow find out who they are, and then somehow find out who their family is, find out who their work is, and like
Yeah.
blackmail them, or send these embarrassing, or just send a face picture of them and claim it came from Grindr. What is
Yeah.
the motive there? What are people afraid of? Like, I don't buy it when people say they're discreet like that. And so I think you were being catfished, honestly, probably just so that someone could dirty talk about their fetish with you and maybe get some stuff, some media from you.
But then why the next day call me a fag and block me? I guess maybe they were like in the zone, probably got what they wanted, cummed, had their reliefs, and then the next day they were like, okay, I'm not into this anymore. That's what
Yeah,
I was thinking.
maybe it was post nut clarity, or maybe it was just feeling
Post.
rejected by you, feeling rejected by you and just wanting to lash out, which is the thing we know guys do on dating apps like all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's that pattern of like, hey, nice tits, you're so hot, I love you so much, hey, are you there, why are you ignoring me, you're an ugly bitch, like
Yeah,
go die or whatever, right?
whenever I get explicit messages on Grindr, I do wonder if, for some reason, I think that straight men or men who are seeking these types of experiences with women would be more restrained. I definitely know that men aren't sending their fucking booty hole pics to women, I don't think,
They're not
but
sending their best. They're not sending their best. They're sending criminals. Sorry.
I do wonder if females get that, but I think that they probably do because men are creepy and it's just shocking. And I do, yeah. Um, I don't know how I would fare if I was single because I do feel like there would be a lot of pressure too. Also, condoms. Condoms seem to be a faux pas. I know at least when I was in Toronto, a lot of my friends were just like, why on earth would you ever wear a condom? And I know that we have PrEP. Praise Jesus for PrEP. That's a huge advancement. But don't you think that you can still wear condoms? There are other STIs that you can get potentially that you would want to avoid. And like, why are we turning up our nose at condoms just because PrEP prevents HIV? Like, is that irresponsible? And I know this sex positive people, you're slut shaming. No, bitch. I don't want fucking crazy gonorrhea. Not that I'm having sex with anyone besides Evan, but you know what I mean. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't want to call it responsible or irresponsible because I think people are capable of assessing their own risk.
Hmm.
However, I think condom shaming would be very weird given that it is a choice about someone's personal assessment of their own risk level. I always default to condom use. And if someone says, no, don't bother, I might just go for it without, or I might say like, are you certain that, like when was your last test or whatever? And then I might go for it condomless. Right. But I'm always offering that option. And I mean, I don't bottom, but if I did, I would, I would be freaked out by someone who didn't offer that up front and just thought they were going to go for it.
I wonder too, obviously on this show, the whole underlying current is like connection and how can we find, I guess, an elevated experience in seemingly superficial places, right? Like spirituality and pop culture. And when I'm on Grindr, I think about this human connection that's available on the app or also restricting human connection. I have seen a lot of my friends who are single and looking for love on the apps. And I mean looking for love in a really sincere way. They want it, they're open, they are doing what they can to attract the people that they like. And what I've seen, and I'm not saying this is everybody's experience, but it seems to perpetuate loneliness. I don't know if it's the nature of the app and it's unavoidable, or if it's the way that we as gay men are using the app. But I do wonder how this is affecting our community at a whole. This is a like we can dive deep into this, but we don't need to do that today. It was just a thought that I had about how does Grindr affect the way that we're connecting with each other authentically outside of come eat my cum.
I don't know. I mean, I've said before on the podcast that I think it just gives us more opportunity to be rejected. So that can feel lonely for sure. I'm also aware that when in the past I've used it and sometimes used it heavily, like opening it every few minutes, just because I want that, like, I guess it's dopamine, that hit of dopamine from getting some attention. Similarly to the way I do Instagram. Do I have a notification? Dopamine rush? Great. Doing that every few minutes. I know that I have noticed that it'll come over me after doing that for a period. And I'll be like, oh wow, like I'm finding this really isolating and lonely because I'm seeking connections whenever I'm on it in a certain way. Like the act of using the app, clicking on somebody, sending a message, receiving a message, all of that, it's literally to seek a connection. And if you're not making the ones you want, I feel like
Mm,
that does increase, feelings of loneliness and isolation. So for sure, I would agree that, I mean, there's some potential to talk about, oh, is it toxifying our community? Like, I'm not too sure. I don't know about
yeah.
that. Does it change the way we interact with each other? Probably not. I think men are just kind of gross. Like, I think if you're
Yeah.
getting these, come over and come on me messages, like that's just how men are. That's what men want up front. A lot of the time, there are a lot of unclassy men out there that are not for you and they're not for me, right? That's not what we're looking
Yeah.
for. But it is what somebody else is looking for, as evidenced by the fact that there are so many of them. So more power to them, I guess. For me, that constantly seeking a connection that I'm not getting in return, that obviously does create loneliness.
This whole idea too, like how I feel a little prickly about the lack of communication and I guess attempt at personal connection before going for the let's have sex. I just found out when I moved back to Vancouver, so in the last few months, about sniffies. Is that what it's called? Sniffies or
I don't know.
sniffles?
I don't know.
Sniffies. Okay, sniffies is a app. God, I'm gonna be so embarrassed if that's the wrong name. Um, is a hookup app that is designed to make it even more straightforward. So there is even less communication, and it's basically you put a pin, you tell the
Oh
people
my
where you
God.
are, and then the location becomes open. So let's say I want to have a sex party at my house.
Oh
I
my
put in the
God.
location, and then people can just show up. Like it's like an open door policy. You can approve or deny who has access to your address. But my friend, I'm not going to say their name, was showing me, and they have parties, sex parties, and it's like just dick pics or butts, and it's just locations that people are cruising. And I've been curious about cruising too, because I do feel like there's a resurgence of cruising culture and like fisting, even though that's separate from cruising. But this drilling down of even less talk and getting even more direct about like, I don't need to know your name. I don't want to talk to you. I just want to know what you look like, and I want to know that you're available to have sex at this particular location at this particular time. And I'm like, what?
I didn't know that. I haven't heard of this.
You haven't? Hang on, hang on.
No.
Let me Google it.
It it's a little shocking.
Girl,
It sounds deeply unsafe.
Sniffy's app. Sniffy's is a map-based cruising app for the curious. Sniffles emphasizes cruising as an immersive, interacting experience, making it the hottest dot dot dot. I'm not going to click on it because I don't want to know what's next. And yeah, maybe we can explore that. We'll do stuff. Well, not you and I, but like we'll find some stories. But yeah, interesting. Hey, that you like, I'm like, Derek, I can't believe this person wants to have sex with me with barely talking to me. Meanwhile, the community is like, we need more direct sex.
I mean, I guess enough people do that they
Yeah.
somebody saw a gap in the market for that. I don't know. It's not for me.
Yeah.
I don't think ever, like I literally don't think I've ever done the anonymous just come over, like I'll be on my knees with my mouth open. Like none of that ever. I've never done that. I don't know.
Not
It's just
yet.
not for me.
Not
It
yet.
can be
Not yet.
it can be for you, or not you, Peter, but for you, the listener, and that's lovely and fine and whatever, and like no king shaming or whatever. But it sounds deeply unsafe. It just
It
sounds
does.
deeply unsafe.
And just for people who are listening that may find that I'm being judgmental, I obviously am a little bit about this because for what I who knows why. But when I was considering how like the evolution of this podcast, one idea I had was like doing separate seasons for different topics and really going deep into like an idea. And one of them was going to be gay sex and like going to the bathhouse and then like having an episode about it, going to the cruising areas and having an episode about it. Because even though I talk about it like I'm too vanilla and I'm like turning up my nose and I'm a little prissy, I'm deeply curious about the process, what it gives people, how they feel like it affects the connection and their love for themselves and for other people. And actually have reached out to a few people on Instagram that use OnlyFans or super sex positive or open about being sex workers about coming on the show. Nobody has agreed yet because I guess it's sensitive, and I don't know. I don't know why they're open about it online, showing everything they've got. But I am curious about it. My questions and curiosity is like, I want to know. It's not about shaming. It's like, really, that's so different from the way I'm experiencing sex. I want to know more about you.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
you know, it occurs to me that I say, wow, that sounds unsafe. And people are going, that's the point. Because I think people are
Uh,
excited. I think there are people who are excited by risk. And that's probably opening a whole other can of worms about the things that that this type of person who's into that does that I don't know how I could discuss without kink shaming. So
yeah.
let's put a pin in that.
We'll put a pin in that, honey.
Yeah.
Kind of goes into our next topic, actually. Actually, when you said dangerous, I can't. Do you know how many fucking drugs I've done with strangers in the back alley of some club? I didn't ask any questions, so I'm not judging people who do that sexually. I've definitely taken risks, and I do like the rush. Not anymore, not all the time. This does kind of go into one. Listen, I texted you one morning. I woke up and I was already waking up arguing in my head about this topic, and it kind of piggybacks the conversation about Grindr and connection and gay community and blah blah blah. Troye Sivan, I love Troye Sivan. Troye Sivan is a like young, I think he's in his 20s, super skinny gay pop star. I think he started on YouTube and he's had like quite a great pop career. Recently, and I mean recently, like around Pride, so Vancouver Pride, so August, released a song called Rush. Rush, I immediately liked. It stood out as a song because it reminded me of the Village People. There was like the chorus is like, I feel the rush, addicted to your touch. And it's like Village Man. It's a chorus of male voices, which you don't hear very often in pop songs. It's super pop songs are traditionally more feminine, soft, or at least not going deep. Like they're about like going up, up, up and exploding. Um, so I love the song immediately. The video came out. I loved it. The first shot was this fucking beautiful butt of this guy smacking his own ass, and then the video starts and it's the video is from what I remember, it's kind of like on a dock or like in an industrial area. It's outside, like on a beach kind of thing. It's a bunch of men. They're naked, they're dancing, super sexualized. Troye Sivan is, you know, in a bathroom at one point, kind of cruising, goes down on somebody, or they go down on him. I can't remember what they're doing. Poppers. The song is about doing poppers and bottoming. And poppers are a big part of queer culture. For straight people who are listening who don't know, basically, how would you describe poppers? They're in a little bottle, you smell them, and it makes it easier for somebody to put their penis in your butt.
Well, it's literally shoe polish and or VHS tape head cleaner that you open the bottle and you just take a really deep sniff, kind of like smelling salts, I guess. And I get now I've like never I've maybe I've tried poppers like one time and I hated it. So I don't know what you're supposed to feel. It just gives me a headache and makes me grumpy. I don't know what else to like. I guess people get a high off of it. I guess it relaxes their sphincter. And there's a euphoric feeling, and it's easier to accept into your orifice whatever it is you desire to put in there. So I guess that's the point. I don't really know. I'm not one to talk.
Yes, that's what it is. So listen, first of all, I need to say that it's no secret that I wanted to desperately be famous. That's still a part of my daily experience as a human being, is like thinking about fame, looking at pop culture, watching paparazzi videos, wondering about why I'm not famous. So when Troye Sivan came out, there was like a very visceral reaction for me about feeling like, one, oh my God, there's finally a twink pop star. If Troye Sivan had been around when I was growing up and I saw him on TV, it would have made it easier for me to see myself in pop culture as opposed to looking at Britney and being like, I'm going to be like Britney. I'm going to be like Paris Hilton. I could have been like, I'm going to be like Troye Sivan because we look alike. We're the same. He's gay. I'm gay. He's a twink. I'm a twink. So my thoughts and feelings about Troye Sivan are extremely celebratory because I feel so lucky to be seeing this in pop culture. Same with Kim Petras. Kim Petras, trans singer, amazing, has the best fucking pop songs. A little problematic because she worked with Dr. Luke, who is a predator, allegedly, pretty much is. But besides that, super cool that we're at a time when Kim, Troy are doing their thing. Sam Smith, also openly queer pop star. It's just a time. Also, what's his name? The other one, they're a band. I can't think of it right now. He's also a little Twinkie. Oh, Years and Years. I think they're called Years and Years. So great time for queer pop. Okay, so when I see this video for Rush, immediately I'm like, oh my God, I watched it a million times. I was so excited. I was like, these are me and my friends. This reminds me of my 20s. This reminds me of like being young and crazy and sexy and exploring sex for the first time. It was just like amazing. Not a damn second later, bitch. I start seeing online the people that were upset with the lack of diversity in Troye Sivan's music video. So at the moment, I was like, ugh, whatever, like 2023, very, very on brand for like the internet to take a music video and immediately reject it because it doesn't check all the boxes. The day that I woke up arguing in my head about this and I reached out to you and said I want to talk about it on the show is because I saw this fucking TikToker who was like basically doing like a point by point reason about why the video is bad, why it's problematic. They pointed out how Troye Sivan's response to it, because Troy did a interview and his response was basically like, I hear the critique. It wasn't what we were thinking about when we were creating the music video. I myself has experienced a lot of discomfort with my own body. And I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, I've always been super skinny. I never felt comfortable. It's not a body type that's celebrated. So I get why people are uncomfortable. That was his response. It was like not apologizing, acknowledging it, but also saying, I have had this experience too, so I'm not completely dismissing it. Charlie XCX also was on Twitter and was like, I can't, basically saying it's really sad that you can't please everybody. Like somebody releases a music video and it's either not diverse enough or it's too cookie cutter and boring. And she said, you know, something along the lines of like, this sucks. Like, let's just celebrate music and celebrate art. And then somebody on my story shared that they were at Pride. And he shared this TikTok and he was like,
Well,
first
I'm
he shared
sorry.
the
So I don't know if it came through what the TikTok exactly said. What are the criticisms of the video?
no body diversity. That's the biggest thing. It was all muscly, hot men. I don't think it was about ethnicity. It was all about body image. Okay, so no fat people, nobody that looked anything other than fit. I would say fit, like visible abs, not super muscular, but like visible abs, tight bodies, young and beautiful people.
Okay,
That's
and
what I would say. Yeah.
the TikTok was basically saying you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't cast only skinny, attractive people in your video
Yeah,
or
where's the
something.
diversity, Troy? Like there are these bodies not sexy? Can we not have a diversity? Like, come on, it's 2023. Like you should have cast more diverse bodies. Then this person on Instagram shares that TikTok and then shares a story about how they were at Vancouver Pride. And sorry, it wasn't Vancouver Pride, it was a different Pride. And they had recently gone through a transformation with their body, I'll say. And they were going to parties where there was a lot of shirtless people and they didn't feel comfortable. And they said there was a divide between people who were taking off their shirts and people who were keeping their shirts on. And the reference was like, this is a problem. Like, why isn't Troye Sivan acknowledging different body types? And why am I going to Pride and feeling uncomfortable because people are taking off their shirts and they're muscular? And when I say I was filled with rage, I was filled with rage because I just feel like at what, why why on God's green earth is it Troye Sivan's responsibility to cast a music video and check every single box that could possibly be imagined of body types in the world? First of all, that's fucking impossible, because if you go to any beach in the world, you can see there's so many types of bodies. Also, why can't Troye Sivan have an aesthetic that he's trying to create with his art, and why can't he celebrate that? And when I say that people are saying it's not representative of the queer community, it's bullshit, because it is representative. And people like me, yes, I'm 38, yes, I'm white, yes, I'm cis. So I'm going to be the Gen Z army who is constantly outraged about every single thing. But guess what? There are different experiences, and you can celebrate this video even though there isn't your particular body type in it. And why is it the shirtless people's problem, or like the promoter's problem, for having a space that people are taking off their shirts? And this is what I want to ask you, Derek. Well, you can like just tell me what you think about this, but like, when we're considering that party that this person went to and felt uncomfortable, I really want to know specifically what could change about that person's experience that would make them feel comfortable. Is it that they would put more diverse bodies on the poster, so that when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, I feel a little bit better because I see that there's body diversity? Chances are you'll go to that event and you'll still see somebody with their shirt off that's muscular. Would it be that these people that have their shirts off, another option would be that they come to you, they welcome you, they introduce themselves, they're friendly, and they say, hey, you can take off your shirt too, like we're all welcome here, no big deal? Would that make you feel comfortable taking off your shirt? Or is it that you are wanting the people that you're, I guess, interpreting as being more attractive than you, desiring you and wanting to fuck you? Would that make you feel better about your body? Because my sense is like, I've felt uncomfortable in spaces. I've gone to events and feeling like nobody wants to fuck me. It sucks. Nobody wants to feel like that. I don't want anybody to feel like that. But I also know that's happening inside my own damn head. And there's nothing anybody can do on the outside that's going to change the way I feel about themselves. You can get a compliment and it can boost your endorphin, like we were talking about with Grindr. But the whole narrative about like Troye Sivan needing to make people feel better about their bodies, I just felt like it wasn't his responsibility. And going to a party and feeling insecure because other people have their shirts off and they have nice bodies, and I say nice because those are the words that he used, is confusing to me. And I don't get it. I don't think that it's a real issue, because I don't think that it's a problem that gets solved externally. It's something that has to happen inside of yourself, about cultivating self-love, cultivating acceptance, and trying to find things about you that you feel good about, so that you can either go into those spaces and feel better and take off your shirt and kiki, or not go there and go somewhere else that you feel comfortable. And watch another damn music video. Go to a Sam Smith concert, bitch. Go to a Lizzo concert. These people are fucking huge, massive stars, have amazing music, that are killing it in pop culture, and represent a body type that is not Troye Sivan. And is that not enough? Does every music video need to check every box? It's just like, oh my God, how tiring is it to consume pop culture like?
I mean, I guess I'll address the questions about your friend and what spaces they should be going into, and what the responsibility is of those spaces or those promoters to make them feel welcome. And then that can kind of lead me into commenting with regard to the video, because I think I think I'll end up describing the psychology I think leads to these opinions that is the same one that's going to the video. So like, I mean, your question was what is the responsibility of the spaces? And I do think that there are parties that I've seen around locally here in Vancouver, and if I could remember which ones they were, I would shout them out, but I can't. I just know that I have, because I don't go out much, so I don't know which brand of party is which. But I often do see lately, in the last maybe, I don't know, maybe right before the pandemic, or just post-pandemic, maybe more recently, I am starting to see those posters that have more diverse, they're advertising more diverse go-go dancers, or non-binary go-go dancers, or different body types, or different people who are visible minority, racial minorities, or some combination of all of these, right? So like, I think that potentially sends a signal that this is a party that's not just for like one type of gay man. It's for potentially other, if you didn't think you were going to be represented at this party, well, we are putting go-go's on the stage, or hiring performers, drag drag people, I won't even say queens, who fit a broader diversity of categories. So you're going to see yourself represented. They're welcome. We're putting it on the stages. This is talent. This is sexy. That's like an invitation, I think. And so I know there are parties who are doing that lately that I've seen. However, I also think that if a space doesn't do that, if that's not what they're about, that's fine. Now, of course, there aren't enough spaces that are welcoming and diverse, and so thank goodness there are a few that are popping up that are making this effort. So I will acknowledge that there aren't enough places for people to go where they feel outwardly welcomed, like there's an effort made to welcome them.
Yeah.
So that's true. But I do not think that it's everyone's duty to appeal to everyone. Not everything is for everyone. Not every cultural product is aimed at you specifically. And I wonder, with regard to like your friend going to something and feeling like they shouldn't take their shirt off, like at Pride or whatever. Is that what you want? Like, would feeling confident taking your shirt off be the thing that made you feel welcome in that space? Why is that? And is that something, Pride or whatever party in question, is that something they have to communicate to you that you're okay to do that? I don't know. I don't think that's how it works. Like, I don't think that's what these spaces are for. I don't think they're for you to take your shirt off. I think you can if you want to. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, I don't know that that's something anyone else has to make happen for you. And I guess, like, I think you said maybe it's more about wanting to be desired by the types of people that you see having their shirts off. And I would just encourage some reflection around that to maybe your friend or whoever shares this thought, because I just don't think seeing a lot of shirtless people is oppressive. I just don't. I just don't think seeing body types that aren't your own or that you find desirable or that you wish you had is inherently oppressive. I simply don't think that. And then that's what I think is the attitude about the music video that I find so annoying and unfortunate. I think that's what people are responding to, and I think that's what they're thinking. I think they're thinking, well, I don't look like that. I'd like to be desired by that, or I desire that and I could never get it, or whatever it is. Like, I don't know. But I don't think that the video has to do that. I don't think it has to make you feel desired. I think the music video historically is a space where mostly straight men have objectified women with a very specific body type. And I think to focus on it not having enough diversity is to kind of take away what it is, which is Troye Sivan doing the thing that straight men have been able to do forever, which is express what I assume he thinks is sexy, which is a particular body type, which is exactly what straight men have always done. But it's gay men being objectified in this way. That's pretty brand new. That is transgressive. So I think I just don't like diminishing or eliminating. I don't like erasing what the impact of that video actually is to focus on like what you wish it was. I just don't think it has to be for you. I don't think he has to think every body type is sexy. And I don't think he has any duty to represent that for the entire world. And I don't think there was any winning when he responded in kind of a nonchalant way, saying, this isn't what we were trying to do. I don't think he couldn't have given an explanation that would have satisfied anyone. And he couldn't have done a video that would have satisfied anyone, because somebody would have said, I don't feel represented by this. If he'd had a huge diversity of bodies, well, okay, well, so what? Are women now being excluded? What? It can't be for everyone.
Yeah, and that was Charlie XCX's comment, was like, you can't please everybody, so why are we going to try? And I think there was a time not too far in the past where it was like that kind of outrage would get people canceled, and artists had to be extremely accountable to that kind of criticism. But I do feel like Troy's response, being a little bit more nonchalant, is reflective of maybe people being able to brush off the criticism a little faster, taking it in, but being like, you know what, I hear you, but that's okay. You're allowed to be upset. You are allowed to watch a music video and be like, that's bullshit. I don't like that. It doesn't mean that the music video artist needs to change it and appease you, because the idea that you're going to go out into the world and every time you're uncomfortable, the world is going to bend to make you feel better is unrealistic. And I think on social media, there is a microcosm of experiences that do bend to your whim, and you get that instant reaction of people validating your feelings and changing the language and saying, yes, you're right. And maybe it gets, caught up in the news and it's sort of like a moment, but that's not the real world. And Troye Sivan's allowed to make whatever music video he wants. And he's a skinny, He's probably like 120 pounds soaking wet. And when I tell you, nobody on Grindr is running out the door to fuck somebody who is 5'7" and 120 pounds and looks like they're 16. Maybe some people who like the young fetish, but he's also not a celebrated body type. So when somebody who is watching Troye Sivan and feels like his mere presence is insulting or offensive because he's another quote unquote skinny white pop star, you're missing the point, the celebratory experience of what it could be. And also there are other artists who are doing the thing that you're craving, right? Like, does I don't even know if I want to say this because I don't know if it is, but like in Sam Smith music videos, is he having muscular people
No,
represented?
no. I think I'm thinking of the meh, 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 so I
Body
don't know what
shop.
the fuck. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking of his body like in a corset, and there's lots of people of various shapes. Like he's not tanned or anything. He's not muscular, right? So there's your representation. Like the music video Troye Sivan made is art. You don't have to be comfortable with it because it's art and it's something he expressed. And I think what he expressed is what he finds hot. And I think you're right. I don't think he has an idealized body type, what we would consider to be idealized, right? What culture tells us men should look like, which is like muscular and big. He is not that. He's rail thin. He has wide hips, like those, and so does everyone else in the video. And that
Wide hips.
he does. I mean, he's got a feminine shape to his
Yeah,
body.
yeah, yeah.
That's not what we think is idealized. So there was no winning, right? He can't express himself and what he likes without it offending someone, but he's also not masculine enough, right? Like he's not,
Yeah.
society is telling him that's not good enough either. So I don't know. I find it very strange. And I think it really misses the point of what you could be celebrating, right? You could be celebrating the
Yeah.
fact that this is a Twinkie gay guy whose body is not idealized, objectifying and casting exactly the same sort of filmic techniques on that type of body as men have done to women since forever. And that's and
Yeah.
that's fresh and that is transgressive and that makes an impact. And I think it's myopic and sad and selfish to want that to be everything for you. I don't know where they get the idea that Troye Sivan as an individual has to do that for
Yeah.
everyone, right?
Yeah. And you kind of touched on this about the desirability of certain body types, right? Like it's almost like taboo to say or celebrate the classically desire. I mean, I'm thinking now of like Roman statues. Like historically, there is a body type that has always been celebrated. There's also a time when being fat, and I did have Lauren on my show, and we did a whole episode about fat icons in pop culture, and we had a whole like segment about saying the word fat, and it should be okay to use the word fat because it's a descriptive word, so that's why I'm saying it. A time when like the wealthy and the desirability of the wealthy was fat because you didn't do any work and you got to lie around all the time and like eat, and it was luxurious. And that's the thing, a lot of my female friends are fat women, and believe when I tell you, there are hundreds of thousands and millions of men who want to fuck them all the time. So there is desirability. And I feel like it's okay. Like, I think what was happening with Troye Sivan is like the fear of admitting that the people in the video were ideal, or like, generally speaking, a lot of people would look at it and find it attractive. Um, if you put a different body type in the music video, does it make the other people less attractive? And does it equal the playing field, really? Like the idea of desirability and us trying to change the narrative of desirability, that it probably just isn't. It's giving more visibility to different body types, but I think you're either attracted to it or you're not. And it doesn't matter how many times I see a bear, and I'm talking about like a big hairy man, I'm never going to be attracted necessarily. It doesn't matter how many times I see,
Well, I don't understand
you
why
know what
we
I
would,
mean?
yeah, why I don't understand why we would demand that this music video be representative of even of real life, right? I'm imagining the counter arguments to everything that you and I have said. And I'm imagining someone going, well, because you do see diverse people in real life. Well, wait a second. I thought your whole argument was that people that look not like this aren't allowed in those spaces anyway. So you're wrong about that. It's more true to those spaces than, than not. It would not be as true to those spaces to invite different types of bodies. And two, this is a music video about Troye Sivan expressing something very specific to what his song is about, which is him having sex. So why shouldn't it represent that? It's not Glee. It's not a school where you should have representation of diverse groups. It is a specific place, and specific places where not everyone goes are they exist. That's a
Yeah,
representation of what that is. That's a representation of something
exactly.
else. It's not a representation of society.
You're allowed to be attracted to what you're attracted to. And I don't want anybody to feel othered ever and going into a space, because I have, as a queer person, I'm always like low grade anxiety all the time, because you're like, is this guy that I'm about to run past on the path in the middle of the forest homophobic and going to be triggered by me? I always have those thoughts. So I'm sympathetic, but I think I've been biting my tongue a little bit with this stuff, because I do definitely feel increasingly that, as an older millennial who is white, who is cisgendered, that my voice just isn't, as my opinion just doesn't weigh as heavily as it once did. And that's totally fine. I don't care if people agree with me. I don't care if they're listening. That's fine. But I wanted to get that off my chest. So thank you.
I mean, you alluded to, you talked about the reason why people think they feel entitled to respond this way to like an art piece is because like they're able to filter their social media feeds to whatever they like and whatever they want to see, and they sort of project that onto like everything. And it's just not that way. I mean, talking about where your voice is relevant, is it in these Twitter spaces where a bunch of probably teens and like early 20s are accustomed to filtering for whatever they want to see and for getting good feedback when they point out something provocative but not necessarily correct? That's
Yeah.
exactly what I think is happening to the response to something like this. It starts as would be woke if this represented, if all media represented everyone equally, but it gets perverted, right, or it gets misunderstood, and a sort of blanket applied to everything, right? Which is not, it's this isn't a representation of real life, this music video, and you don't get to control someone else's artistic output, and you don't get to tell them what's sexy, and it's just provocative to spend all this time trying to tear someone down basically, but it's not correct. You're not being
Yeah.
woke, you're being anti-woke by policing this person's artistic output and basically communicating to him that this body type isn't worth enough.
Yeah. I just, opportunity for reflection. I like my spirituality has evolved to like this, always going inside and being like, okay, what is this feeling? What does this mean? And I think anybody can benefit from just having a self-awareness about what's causing the feelings, and how the world around them is actually pretty benign. Like, the world is just being the world, and you can choose to experience it however you want. Not saying that there isn't oppressive factors, because there obviously is, but there is always a choice to, what does Michelle Obama say? When they go low, we go high.
And the existence of body types, the existence of body types is not inherently oppressive. You know,
Yeah.
it's okay to say we need more content that represents different types of people, but it's not the same thing as saying this content is somehow not doing its job by not representing all types of people. You don't make a space more diverse by pushing people out of it. You make
Yeah.
room for them, right? So more of the content you want to see, not make all the content you want to see what you want to see, or make all the
Yeah.
content that exists what you want to see. You make room, right? You don't push things out.
Yeah. It seems like a very tiring way to consume media. And I think that's where the problematic relationship with social media and media in general comes in, when there's just the constant triggering and the constant outrage. So anyway, that's that on that. Let's talk about Britney. Listen, I know my
Let's
last
end on
time I
a
was like,
light note on Britney and her
uh,
exploits.
so I said last time I never want to talk to her again, because I just felt like I'm only adding to the problem of like, why are we so obsessed with Britney? This poor woman just cannot catch a break, but also she's constantly dancing naked on Instagram. So she's feeding the flame. There were some videos, I shared it on my Instagram, where she randomly showed up at a bar in Cabo and was dancing in a red dress, white sunglasses, ratty ass fucking hair extensions pulled up, kind of going into the bar and looking around, like sort of like, where am I? What's happening? You can't really tell who she's with either. Like, I think I see a security guard. Sam wasn't there. There were no girlfriends there. It seemed like people who were at the bar, and then Britney. And then obviously there were like TikToks and reels of Britney throughout the night. going to the bar, having drinks, and then dancing and giving everybody the finger as they filmed her. And then she posted on Instagram, like, I had no idea I was being filmed from every angle. I'm just a normal person. Anyway, I just stopped in Cabo and I'm on my way to Italy for my favorite spaghetti and meatballs. And I'm like, damn, this bitch is like living the damn life. And I wish I was at that bar in Cabo. Fine, whatever. Like Britney's doing her wackadoodle thing. But girl, this week, honey, when the rumors came out that she cheated on Sam, first of all, at first glance, I did believe it because Britney has cheated. That Britney being a cheater has come up a lot. She's obviously hypersexual too. Not and there was always stories about her taking off her clothes in front of her staff and sort of like doing inappropriate things. So I was like, yeah, okay. But then when we found out who she was fucking, woo, it was her plumber. It was her damn plumber who was out on parole. He was an average looking guy. Nothing really remarkable about him, just somebody that you would walk by on the street. But when you compare Sam, basically a chiseled Greek god, super hot, six, whatever, just like fucking movie star material, to the man that she apparently cheated on him with, it's like, what the fuck, Britney? Not that she can't find him attractive. You know what it reminded me of? In my wild days when I would like drink and do drugs and have like wild nights and sometimes hook up with people that I wouldn't normally find attractive because the drugs basically are pumping it through. I'm wondering like maybe Britney is having that experience. Like you feel so sexual and you're so called to this person and it may not be reflective of how you feel in real life. I was surprised to see this guy. The paparazzi were talking to him as he walked down the street and he was like, Britney's doing great. He was her plumber. Britney is fucking her plumber.
Yeah. Yeah, she traded her, I don't want to say star, but her TV actor, personal trainer, hunk husband for her plumber. So that's interesting. I mean, it just struck me now that like I don't want to let Britney off the hook. Cheating is wrong. Cheating is bad. She's 40, what, two? She's a grown woman for Christ's sake already. However, she's gotten positive feedback her entire life for being sexually enticing, come hither, coquettish, alluring for that type of performance. And I don't just mean on stage. I mean, performing this way in her every aspect of her life. This has given her positive feedback. Being a little sexual Lolita. And she also I suspect, probably doesn't have a great constitution for saying, no, you can't use my body in this way, right? Because she is acquiesced to everything. Dance moves, you're going to do this interview, to say nothing of the conservatorship, which further probably entrenched those behaviors and that psychology. So I don't hold her, I'm not saying she's not responsible, but I can see in my mind her walking around her house, doing her provocative little twirly dances with the camera, slinking around, and this is not to say that her presence or her body is inherently enticing, but I can maybe see her engaging in behaviors where she got positive feedback from like her staff or her plumber or whatever for being like, do I look good in this? What do you think of my tits in this top, right? Because she's used to that, to getting positive feedback for doing that, and then sort of not being able to say, this isn't what I want, and putting up a boundary where, I may tease you, but I'm not cheating on my husband. I think she might not be used to saying no in that way, right? Where her advances were designed to get a particular type of attention that she then got, and I don't know if it didn't occur to her or if she doesn't have the capacity to say, no, I don't want to do this or what.
Yeah.
But as much as I want to hold her wholly responsible, I do think she cheated, by the way. As much as I want to hold her responsible for that, like we should with anyone, I also just see where it's coming from, and I find it very sad, I guess is all I would say about that.
Yeah. It just seems like I don't know. Like when I saw it, I just feel like sad because I feel like the lack of people around her is one thing I thought about. Like not going out and rebounding with girlfriends and having like a weekend because I don't think she has friends. And just wondering too, like yet another quote unquote normal person, because Sam was just in her music video, right? Kevin Federline was a backup dancer. Her first Jason Alexander was like her childhood friend. So there's a common story of like the quote unquote regular guy and the pop star. who inevitably get pulled into her orbit of like this unbelievable wealth and fame. And I'm wondering if that theme says something about like the power dynamic, or like you say, the desirability of what would happen if she was with Brad Pitt, like somebody or Justin Timberlake, equal, equal fame, money, status, all of that. It seems like we're always seeing Britney with somebody, I guess, of a lesser class, financially, fame wise, with accessibility. It is a classist society in America, so she would be of the elite. And that's interesting too. And I see this plumber, he was the most like clean cut example of the average Joe getting to be with Britney Spears. And I'm like, wow, not surprising. Um there is a pattern there with her.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought of that, but I do think that's true. When I think of other celebrities, let's say who Lady Gaga has dated, they're always somebody that is sort of in that echelon. Like there's some kind of
Mm-hmm.
investor, or they're an entertainment manager, or they're famous for something, right? That actor Justin Theroux or whatever was fairly famous. So it's the type of people she would run into in the course of being famous. Whereas with Britney, I think you're right. It's kind of regular people. And I guess I do wonder if there's something about her having that power and men who are in awe of her that she is perhaps, do I want to say the word preying upon? I mean, I do think a power dynamic that significant, I do think it's a bit predatory as a pattern.
Wow.
On the other
Oh,
hand, I also want to kind of, I want to couch that in, I think approval from men is probably a big driver, and I think men being in awe of her like this is a way that that might fulfill that, right? I think she
mhm.
gets heaps of approval from these men who are in awe of her, right? So
I
I don't
just thought of
know.
something too. Her relationships with these regular guys that constantly outrages people as an act of rebellion against the system, against her family. Like, oh, you
Right.
think he's gonna be a gold digger? I don't fucking care because it's my money, bitch. And so she's using it as a way to validate her own outrage at the way she's been treated her whole life. That could be something too. I mean, maybe this is what she'll talk about in the book. You also brought up a good point in texting. Like, did they have to edit Sam out of the book? Like, was he a part of it?
Mhm.
Like her happy ending? And then if he is not, what does that do to her book? I was like, the book has to be printed. It comes out in a month, but you were like, no, they probably waited longer. And now that I'm looking at the date, yeah, it's still more than a month away. So they definitely could make some quick changes for sure.
Yeah, they could have potentially not started printing it yet. Although, given that it's going to be a huge run of books, maybe they have. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Typically, they could edit up to sometime within the 2 months ahead of printing window. So who knows? Yeah, I'm interested to read it. I'm dismayed by her choice this time. When you just, I don't know. I just, and I said to you, I think that because the times when Sam had bruises on his body line up with like stories he's now telling about why they're broken up or something. Like, do I think he either got those bruises in an unrelated way and is now lying about what they were for, or do I think he somehow made them himself in anticipation of cheating Britney Spears out of like alimony or something? No, I don't. I think he got those when he says he got them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they line up with the timeline where he said she was cheating and he got, she attacked him at night. Some sources say he was attacked at night. He had these bruises at the same time. I mean, it lines up. I don't think it's, I don't think it's lies. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I said this though. I want everyone to always remember that I said when Britney Spears was on the verge of being um uh, emancipated from her conservatorship, I said people are going to find out who she really is, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not because I
That's
had any
right.
reason to think she was bad, but because she was placed as like she was so angelic in people's eyes that there was nowhere to go but down.
Yeah. 100%.
Such an innocent,
Um,
perfect victim, right? And there are no perfect victims. Let's be clear. Britney Spears has been a victim of many things. I think we've acknowledged them all in this like short conversation of the last 5 minutes. There's no perfect victim. It seems like she's done some fucked up shit.
to wrap things up, do you remember Jen Shaw from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City who went to jail?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know Elizabeth Holmes, who went to jail for frauding? She created that fake It was a big scandal in Silicon Valley. She basically said she could use a drop of blood to like
Theranos?
Theranos.
Yeah, okay.
Listen to this, bitch. Guess who's besties in jail? Jen Shaw and Elizabeth Holmes, honey. Elizabeth
Okay.
Holmes is going to Jen Shaw's fucking booty bump class or fucking ab workout class. Can you believe it?
I I can't wait to see what business venture they come up with when they get
Oh my
out.
God. You know what? We need the Real Housewives of Prison, honey. We need to get those Bravo count. Andy, get to the damn prison, smuggle in a camera. You know Jen Shaw will do it. She'll wear it in her fucking bra.
That's not a
That
bad
that
idea.
that is a
Maybe
oh
maybe they'll add Erica Jane soon to
oh
that
oh
cast.
that's another T. Erica Jane tickets, $7 on Ticket Hub.
Oof, really?
Yeah,
It's
bitch.
the Vegas show, right?
Yeah, $7.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That, but just so my fans are aware, that's what I'm going to be selling my tickets for too when I go back on tour to a
Hell yeah.
7-Eleven near you.
Hell yeah. No, you can do all the gay bars. See you at Junction at 1181. It's gonna be
Downtown
great.
Taxi Tour. Oh my God. Pump Jack.
And I'll come and I'll do
Oh.
my verse because I'm gonna have a verse, right?
I'll start sending you some of the demos actually. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can listen. You can listen. See if you like them. It's Maxwell. Some of them have Maxwell singing, and some of them have robots singing. Because I basically what the process is he sends me the songs. We have about 8 songs, by the way. It's kind of like turning
Slay.
into a thing. He sends me the songs, and then I have to practice with a vocal coach to learn how to sing them. And then we go into the studio and he finishes them. So when I send them to you, just have to keep that in mind and maybe write down some ideas that you want to share on the podcast. But you have to be nice, only positive thoughts, positivity. Yeah, we'll do the run. Okay.
Hey.
Thank you, Mariah. That was